Hello, my dear, from wherever you're currently watching from. Same place, different time. And I hope that you have had a great day. I love all the seasons there are, but especially in summer, I enjoy the sun on my skin. And just today, I've had a really uh, calming and chilled, relaxing day at the water. And while I was there at the water, I noticed that my interest for the stories of old gods and goddesses and mythology has increased. And there are phases in my life where I find myself in getting interest in knowing about those stories. And today, in specifically, there was one story about the god Odin, one of the gods' father in the Nordic mythology. And I was reminded of that story today, so I wanted to share that with you because I think that there might be something in it for you too. Odin had a big desire. He wanted to become wise. And so one day he went to the big tree. That was the incorporation, the synonym for wisdom. And he went there, and in order to receive the wisdom, he needed to sacrifice. So he sacrificed one of his eyes to that tree in order to get wisdom. And that process in receiving the wisdom was very painful, and it took a long time. But after it has been done, and Odin gained back his strength, because it was also a very exhausting process for him, he started to reflect, and he noticed one thing. And he noticed that he always thought that he had such a big longing that he thought that if he would fulfill his longing by gaining wisdom, the longing would stop. And in that moment, he realized that now that he has gained wisdom, the longing was still there. Anyways, he continued on his path, and a couple of times, in a time later, there was a situation where there were two groups fighting against each other. And Odin, as also the war of gods, he knew exactly how to strategize and put his people into the right place. And by gaining the wisdom he now had, he could foresee certain things. So he knew that if he wouldn't change the war statistics and situation, something really bad would happen. So he tried to switch up a few things here and there. And just when he did that, he encountered the three women that are responsible for the destiny. In German, they are called the Nurnes. So it's like the goddesses of destiny. And one of the women started to laugh at him because she could see what he was trying to do. And she said something in the sense of like, he was foolish to believe that now, having gained the wisdom, that he could change the destiny. Fun fact, he was really mad at her because he thought that now that he had the wisdom, he was basically prepared for all there is, right? And he was really mad. But anyways, I was reminded of that story today. And I could feel it made me laugh actually, because even if you believe, or maybe you have heard of Odin and maybe other stories too, and maybe you do believe in destiny, but even if you don't, I can find lightness in that story, because I do believe that as human beings, we try so hard to understand things, people, situations, environment, or even ourselves. So much so that we forget that it's not about understanding. Of course, it is great to know and to want to know more and deeper. But at the same time, there will be always things which we just cannot comprehend. Sometimes maybe because it's not the time to comprehend. And sometimes because it's just nothing that we do comprehend. So I believe there's lightness that can be found in reminding ourselves that it's not about knowing, but more about living. And the journey itself. So that was something that I wanted to share with you, and I appreciate you and your time. If you have stories similar to that, especially from mythology, I would love to hear from you. And maybe by that we can also exchange our knowledge of stories and of mythology. And even if you don't, that's all right too. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one.